a lot of sedation, a lot of medication. You have ADHD. We're going to talk about that with crystal children and rainbow children. Some of the things that they're diagnosed with that really are manifestations of a metaphysical thing. To me, again, this can be disputed, and that's what we're here to do on Evolve, is have a conversation. I just want to bring something new to your awareness. So when we talk about indigo people or children not being able to tolerate dysfunction at home or work or school, I cannot tell you how many situations I have been in, and most recently as an adult in a work situation that was 1000% dysfunctional. And I could no longer vibrate at the frequency. I was irritated to the people around me. The bosses were like, girl. I was like, y'all. It was a no-win situation. And that's when it catapulted me into being my own boss and working for myself, because I understood that I am a creative and that I don't do well when I know that something is wrong or something is unhealthy. Now, if you've listened to some of the past shows, you know that there are some other experiences that definitely contributed to my sense of calling out a wrong thing or a right thing when I see it. But in that work situation, I often was calling things out. And of course, you can know they want you to be worker bees when you're in a corporate America. You're supposed to work and you're not there to socialize or do things like that. But when you are dealing with these vibrations of indigo, crystal, or rainbow, you aren't conforming to kind of the world's idea of what you should be there or not there to do. I do recall a boss pulling me in for my review and saying, we don't know how to review you because we can't review you for being everyone's favorite coworker. Meaning that they said, people, we've overheard you giving advice in the bathroom and counseling people. You see, my calling was not to be sitting at that desk doing this tedious task. My calling is the work that I'm doing now in the various forms that I express it. And that's one of the things about indigo, rainbow, and crystal people, children or adults, as they evolve, is that you do get into your calling and you realize, oh, that's why that sweater called life or adulting, as Terry said in her earlier interview, didn't fit me right and it felt so itchy. It's because I was never supposed to be in that sweater. So keep that in mind. So now we're going to talk about the rainbow children. The rainbow children are the embodiment of our divinity and an example of our potential. Rainbow children have never lived on this planet before. This is what the scholars and kind of spiritualists say. I don't know. What do you guys think? They've never lived here before. This is what they say. They're going straight to the crystal children as their moms and dads. These children are entirely fearless of everybody. They're little avatars who are all about service. These children are only here to give rainbow children their already kind of spiritual peak. And so the rainbow children are interesting to me because that's the newest generation. And what's funny, we talk about all of this spiritual stuff, but I have a sarcastic side as well. And so I think, okay, so what are we going to do? Are we going to just be naming every child all of the colors of the rainbow and the rocks in the world? Because where do we go from here? So now we're at rainbow children are the newest incarnation. We had indigos and crystal, now rainbow. So where do we go from here? Are we going to have tourmaline and purple agate and whatever? I don't know. Amethyst. It's just interesting to me. But what I do know from teaching and being a person that experiences these things is that there are some truths to what's being said. So I leave this out here. I submit it to you. I offer it to you. And I ask you to find what truth is there in it for you. What feels right? What resonates to you? And we'll talk about the crystal children. The first thing that most people notice about them is their eyes. Large, penetrating, and wise beyond their years. Crystal children lock on you and hypnotize you. And when you realize your soul is being laid bare for these children to see, you might pull back. Perhaps you've noticed this new special breed of children rapidly populating our planet. They are happy, delightful, and forgiving. This generation of new light workers is roughly 0 through 7. So pardon me, guys. They are the newest. Rainbow, it was indigo, rainbow, and now crystal. Again, how can we keep up? I don't know, but I submit it to you for your own, dissection. So we're talking about ages 0 to 7. And they are like no previous generation. They are ideal in many ways. Crystal children are the pointers for where humanity is headed. And it's a good direction. Isn't that good to hear? It's so good to say. Humanity is headed in a good direction. There are so many times where we can look around and think, Where are we headed? What are we becoming? I remember that song that Whitney Houston used to sing, "The children are the future. Teach them right and let them lead the way." Well, when you're dealing with a crystal child, they were born to embody that stanza. The older children, who can be any age, and were born in the 70s, we're going back to indigo children. So one of the things I wanted to talk about was the medication and sedation. When we're dealing with the crystal children, indigo and rainbows, sometimes as adults, they may resist change, conformity, like we talked about, and people may often understand these children. Sometimes they get diagnoses of attention deficit with hyperactivity disorder, attention deficit disorder, and sadly, they're medicated. And so when you're an indigo or any of these other children, you will lose your sensibilities, your psychic abilities, and you will not be as sharp. You become dulled, as with any medication. If you've ever suffered from depression and you've taken Prozac or Wellbutrin or any of those things, you may notice that your senses were dulled, even if you just needed it for a bit or a spell. Or I've talked to friends that are bipolar that say they don't like the medication because when they're on it, they don't feel like themselves. So these little children are just embodying their brightest, most amazing selves. And then someone comes along and says, "It's hard for you, little Johnny. We can't have you in the classroom not really paying attention and wanting to create and dreaming of different worlds. And so we've got to have you take this little pill, and it means you're going to slow down." So then we dull those amazing sensibilities they have with the medication. And again, I have no answers. I'm just throwing these things out here. I don't know if you should or shouldn't. I have worked with children that are both medicated and not medicated, and I have seen advantages to both. So that is for you to decide as a parent. That is for you to decide as a person. What is the right thing for your own personal situation? But and so in any regards, these indigo and rainbow children can sometimes be different, tempered, and in contrast, the crystal children are very much talked about being blissful and even tempered. They may have tantrums because kids are kids, but these children are largely forgiving and easygoing. The crystals are a generation who benefit from the indigos tribalizing. So, we are, trailblazing and tribal kind of people with the indigos. And so that is something that we kind of paved the way for. And so first, the indigo children lead with the machete. And I so relate to this growing up, watching people wield machetes, and for healthy reasons, to cut coconuts. But I totally get that whole, get the machete and cut the coconut down. So wielding the machete, cutting down anything that lacks integrity. That's been such a flashpoint for me. I expect and want people to be integral. I get mad at myself if I don't feel like I'm holding up to my own standards of integrity. So that is, it's just wonderful when you start researching and doing things and learning about who you really are even deeper. So the indigos kind of cut down with the machete anything that lacks integrity. The crystal children follow the cleared path into safer and a more secured world. And now the rainbow, the fearless rainbow children, are pure givers and ready to fulfill the needs. So we want to talk about how sometimes the crystal children's innate gifts are sometimes misunderstood, and it leads them to having different explorations later on in life. And communication is faster with crystal children, more direct and more honest, because it's mind to mind. So they're moving in the realm of telepathy. That's something that's happening with crystal children. They're incredibly telepathic. And sometimes when you're growing a crystal child, and that's the age group that's right now, the babies that are being born right now, sometimes may have delayed speech patterns, guys. And so I just kind of wanted to point that out there. It may be that they wait until 3 or 4 to start speaking. But some of the parents that have been studied with these children have said they have no trouble communicating at all with their silent children when they're in their home, or just when they're by themselves, because they just really are able to engage. So that's something that if you think that you have a crystal child, do some research. Doreen Virtue has written a lot of great material. She's even written a book, I believe, called Crystal Children. She's the angel lady, for those of you that don't know. And also, I wanted to point this out too, that you can find a lot of her material online and in various places and at heyhouse.com. So just know that if you are wanting to delve more into this than we can in the last few minutes of this show, please, please, please do your own research and see if you resonate as an indigo yourself, or if you think you have a crystal child or a rainbow child. Okay, so those are some of the things that I wanted to pass along to you. It's a lot of information, but I always enjoy taking in information so that I can understand us better, so that I can work with my clients and that everything is more focused. And I have tons of parents call me almost every day and ask about their children. Well, this one's a little more difficult. What should I do? This one's really amazing, but they only want to do this one thing. What should I do? I do not have children myself, but I am a lover of children and consider myself a mother in many ways to many children. And so I will say this, you have to do what's right for you as a parent. There is no tell-all book. There is no self-help book. There is no nothing. And I've read a lot of them, but there aren't any that can help you understand the nuances of your particular child. It's lovely to have terms like crystal, rainbow, purple amethyst, whatever, okay? Those are fantastic terms to have. But the thing that's important to remember is that your child is an individual. I think about Aquariuses. When I think about how they raise their children, I always admire the Aquarius men and women in my life because they're really, really good about letting their kids take on their own identity. Aquariuses are all about innovation and pushing boundaries and going to the moon and creating gadgets. So they understand the space that is needed to develop into a whole tiny person that has your own thoughts and that doesn't seek out the approval of others. And so we all can't be Aquariuses and we all can't be Aquarius parents, but I will offer that to you today and say, take a page out of their book. Let your child figure it out. They always do. They always come out okay in the wash. And that is what I wanted to leave you with children. They need you just to pay attention, mostly. That's pretty much it. And then let them evolve into the person that they incarnated here to be. Today, I wanted to leave us with a little reading from some cards from Doreen, the angel lady. And this is a unicorn deck, a gag gift that my best friend gave me. And it's a deck that Doreen made for children. And when I got the deck, I thought, these are really basic. These are really simple. I was kind of surprised because I'm used to Doreen's decks being incredibly detailed and beautiful tapestries and paintings. And these were beautiful, but it was really straight to the point. And so I read up about them about a year ago and I said, oh, these are for, she says it. She says, I made this deck for children. I made this deck for crystal, rainbow, and indigo children to use so that they could understand how to start tapping into their energy because they're not like us that maybe grew up being told you just go to church and that's it and there's only one way. They're always experiencing new ways, new pathways. So today, the cards that I have pulled as we got into the studio, I love it, was best friends. So that's a little shout out homage. True friends stick together no matter what. That's what the card says. And again, I love it. The cards are very simple in that. And that is true. So seek solace in your friendships this week, guys. Your friends lift you up. They pull you off the ledge. Lord knows mine does. I so appreciate her. I don't have enough words. And and you guys pull each other off the ledge too. It's a mutual ledge pulling. Okay. Lots of rope there. So love your friends, send some energy, reach out to someone that you love that's special in your life, whether you've seen them or talked to them in a while, just send them a message and say, hey, thinking of you, so appreciate you. Happy thoughts was the next one. To feel happier right now, think about a memory or something else that makes you smile. You see what I mean about the simplicity? Like the heart of a child is in these cards, and I really appreciate that. Happy thoughts this week for you guys. Happy thoughts that make you smile. I'm smiling as I say it because it was a happy experience to have Terry here. She makes me smile. She's always made me smile, and she raises vibrations. And those happy thoughts raise your vibrations as well. So pay attention to that. The next and last card is love from your parents. No matter what, your mother and father love you as much as they can. That's so interesting to me. They love you as much as they can. As we're growing up and adulting, we often find ourselves reminiscing over the things that happened in our childhood, the things that our parents did or didn't do enough of, the things we wish they had risen to the occasion of, the ways we wish they had defended us, or the ways we wish they'd backed down some when we needed more space. But what I want to leave you with today as we talk all about children and how fitting for those cards every time, I'm always amazed at how beautifully it all dovetails together. We talk about children and the love you have for children in storage. And your parents love you the best that they can, the best that they can. When you know better, you do better. Maya Angelou. And